since the opening. If you'd like to ask a question, please drop a note in the chat, just letting me know that you have a question. We'll get to as many as we can. And for this press conference, before you ask your question, please identify yourself with your name and your media affiliation. Micah, if you want to unmute, we'll dive right into questions. We will start with Jim Polzine.
Polzine, Wisconsin State Journal. Micah, there's a lot of unique things about this tournament, but one of them is you get to start off playing a game at a Big Ten rivals arena. I'm curious what you think of that. And it's not a place where this program has had a ton of success, but you guys were just there 2 weeks ago. Is there anything to be said for familiarity with a venue like that?
Absolutely. I mean, I've played there in the course of my career in the Big Ten. I've played there 3 times, I'm pretty sure. So, and I've actually gotten a win there, which is nice. So, no, it definitely helps to have played there before. Obviously, in the history of Wisconsin, like we've played Purdue and not North Carolina, and there's also most of the time been lots of fans in the arena as well. Because when there's fans in that arena, especially Purdue fans, it's one of the best venues in the country from a fan standpoint. So it definitely is nice to be able to have played there before, have the familiarity with the gym, with the rims, depth perception, all that kind of stuff. And it's definitely unique, considering, the circumstances we're in to actually be able to play at a place like Purdue being from the Big Ten. But it's UNC is a good team. So regardless of how comfortable we are playing at Mackey, we still got to make sure we're prepared for UNC. So yeah, it's nice, but we still got a big challenge ahead of us.
Jeff Petrikis.
Jeff Petrikis from the Journal Sentinel. Micah, I'm just curious, since you've started really breaking down North Carolina, how frequently the discussion has turned to North Carolina's ability to get on the offensive glass and what you must do to keep them from doing that?
Yeah, well, like going through scouting reports and all that kind of stuff, that's the number one thing on the scouting report is their ability to rebound the ball offensively. I'm pretty sure they're number one in the country when it comes to offensive rebounding. And a lot of their points come from that. And I know specifically talking about the ACC tournament, I'm pretty sure, I actually think you may have tweeted it out, talking about the amount of offensive rebounds. I think it was like 61 in 3 games or something like that. So, they're a great offensive rebounding team. They got lots of size. They're very physical inside. So it's something we got to be ready for, making sure all 5 are rebounding the ball defensively, not just the bigs, and making sure the bigs are doing their job with boxing out and going and attacking the ball on the rebounds as well. So, it's obviously a big part of the game. We got to make sure it's an area we focus on, because if you take that away, you have a pretty good chance of giving yourself a good chance to win the game. So that's definitely going to be a key. It's a bit of key of emphasis as we've broken the scout down of UNC, but it's also something we got to do a good job of executing.
Steve McGargy.
Steve McGargy, Associated Press. Thank you. I was just wondering, your coach was saying just now, you had a pretty competitive game of spike ball going yesterday. I'm just wondering if you could detail either that and also just what are y'all doing to kind of occupy the time? Y'all have already been in Indianapolis a while, and it's still a while until the game, and there's not a lot you can do. What creative things have y'all gone about doing to try to avoid going stir crazy?
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is because of how we're testing every single day and we're not leaving like the hotels, the hotels are connected to the convention center, and all that kind of stuff. So at least until we practice at Mackey tomorrow. So at least until then, no one's leaving the hotels and everyone's in the same bubble and everyone's testing the same way and, all that kind of stuff. So it gives us a little bit more freedom to kind of do that kind of stuff. Plus, obviously being here, it takes away the opportunity to do other things outside of the hotel. So yeah, spike ball has been a big hit. We just got a ping pong table and a foosball table put into our team meeting room. Guys have been taking advantage of that, but spike ball's been the hot one. That's been the more popular one. We've gotten a couple of teams that are pretty good. I know Tyler Wall, Trevor Anderson, our GA Cole Gentry, and then our director of ops, Mark. They've been probably the most competitive out of the entire bunch, and having really good games and being actually really good at spike ball in general. So no, it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to be a part of. Guys have done a good job of getting out of their rooms with, the amount that they can, with the limitations that we have, and intermingling in the smartest way possible, and all that kind of stuff. So it's been fun. And like, yeah, we're in a bubble, but having a change of scenery outside of our apartments in Madison is kind of nice as well. Being in Indianapolis and being in a hotel room and having just a different place to go through this system of protocols that we've had all year. It's nice to have a change of scenery mentally. It really kind of makes it different, which is nice. Change is good, especially in this kind of a situation. So that's also been nice.
Up next, Stephen Weiner.
Hey, Steve Weiner from the Associated Press. Wacky question for you, Micah. Everybody knows that the One Shining Moment song. I'm curious, did you ever grow up listening to it, pretending you were in it, hitting a buzzer-beating shot to that song?
All the time. I mean, a lot of people can attribute, March to being one of the greatest times of the year. Like, the March Madness tournament is a focal point of American sports every single year. And so if you didn't, I'd be surprised, to be honest. And obviously no one, growing up playing, basketball, and, once I got to the point of, getting recruited for college and all that kind of stuff, it really became kind of a more real thing. And then obviously playing in the tournament, a couple of times is really made it, that much more real. So, yeah, it's definitely something that I grew up thinking about and dreaming about being a part of. And it's still, even, being in the NCAA tournament, technically once for me playing, I was also there with my redshirt year, and then last year we would have made it as well. So the kind of reality of being in it, but even preseason and during the regular season, you still kind of think about that stuff, being that guy who hits that shot, or just being that team that makes a run or whatever, all that kind of stuff is something you think about all the time. And that's why you come to a place like Wisconsin, so you can have that opportunity to make those runs or to make those shots or all those kinds of things. So it's definitely a special time. It's a special thing for all of the teams and the players and coaches that are a part of the tournament itself. And it's something that, we're looking forward to hopefully making that run and, making those shots going forward.
CL Brown.
Hi, Micah. CL Brown with the Raleigh News and Observer. When you've watched film on North Carolina so far, what's the biggest difference between them now and when you played against them when you're at that other Big Ten school?
I appreciate you saying that. No, I'm just kidding. So I don't know. They've obviously playing their two, and they've had a history of playing two bigs, but that's the biggest thing that stands out to me is their, I don't know, just their dominance with both of their bigs inside. I know they've had a history of playing two bigs, but the style of play of both has been kind of different compared to what it is now. Both of them are kind of pound the paint and attack the offensive glass big time. I think they're a little bit more reliant on that this year than they have been in the past. That's not to say that they don't have good guards or good wings, because they have very good guards and wings, but I feel like their go-to is a little bit more getting it inside than it is playing from the perimeter. And that's going to be a challenge for us. You know what? That's what we have to stop. That's what we have to try to take away as best as we can, is taking away the offensive rebounding and doing a good job defending inside, because I feel like that's something that they go to on a more consistent basis now. So, they're always a well-coached team. They're always a very, well fine-tuned team, if that makes sense. Coach Williams is one of the best to ever do it. So, you got to give them credit. You got to prepare for, every facet of the game when it comes to them. But specifically, the biggest thing that stands out, as I'm sure Coach Gard told you guys about, was just their, the emphasis of playing inside and the offensive rebounding and all that kind of stuff, because that's really, I feel like, where they, get their biggest punches from inside.
Lance Vieser.
Lance Vieser, WKOW-TV. Micah, obviously we haven't seen a lot of you and Nate on the floor together this year, but Coach Gard just mentioned that this is the type of matchup where this could happen. How do you feel about that? Especially knowing going in that the game plan involves you having to play well down low.
Well, it's exciting. Obviously, matchups throughout the year haven't worked out the best that they could have when it comes to us both playing together, but it's something that we're excited about doing. It's something that, we're ready to do and we'll be prepared to do. But, it's it's another game, regardless of what matchups there are, who we're playing against. The biggest aspect or the biggest thing we're trying to do is get a win. So whatever we need to do, whether it be coming off the bench, playing together, starting together, whatever, we got to win basketball games. So yeah, we're excited, we're ready to play both together. But it's also something that going forward, we just got to make sure we're doing our part, with the roles that we're given. And so that's because right now it's do or die. So whether it be playing together, not playing together, we got to win basketball games. So, but no, we're definitely excited about, having the opportunity to have that happen.
We have time for just a couple more. We'll go to Adam Smith.
Hey, Micah. I'm with the Burlington Times News in North Carolina. Just wondering where you grew up, if you looked up to Mitch Trubisky back in the day. And because of that, does UNC have a soft spot in your heart? How do you look at that whole Trubisky angle?
Well, I grew up with Mitch pretty much. I'm closer with his younger brothers because we went to school together in high school at Menor. So I know his younger brother's a little bit better than him, but the whole family we're good friends with. So yeah, it was definitely cool to see him go to UNC and then get drafted by the Bears and all that kind of stuff. But I'll also say this: I have two cousins who are NC State alum. So there's obviously the rivalry there. So it's like, yeah, it was cool to see Mitch. And also Brandon Fritz is another one. He was a tight end at UNC, who also played at Menor with Mitch. So it's kind of cool to see those guys have success there. But also, like, from a family tie standpoint, we're like NC State's kind of the way to go, which I know that's kind of like a touchy thing or whatever. But no, it's always good to see people from your hometown doing well. And so I don't know if I'd say it's a soft spot for UNC because of the NC State ties that I have. But, it's always good to see people from your hometown doing well.
Let's go to Josh Schaefer and then Kip Coons after that.
Yeah, Josh Schaefer with Badger 24/7. Micah, with offensive rebounding this year, allowing offensive rebounds, boards in the offensive glass for you guys, that's come up a couple times. I'm curious, just when you look back at, say, like the last Iowa game, I think they grabbed 12 offensive rebounds on you guys. What stuck out that you guys can do better there?
There's multiple things. Obviously, getting bodies and boxing out well and attacking the ball well. Getting good positioning when it comes to where the ball's coming from off the rim, the direction of where it's coming from off the shot, and then also where, you can kind of almost predict where it's going to come off of the rim. Doing a better job with that. Obviously, sometimes in bang situations, things just happen. You got to be able to just react. And then also having all five rebound the ball. Sometimes, from a positioning, because of those bang plays, it's tough to be able to react or get good positioning. So you got to have help from elsewhere. So that's all those little things. I know obviously, like you mentioned, the last Iowa game, there's that flurry that really hurt us there in the second half. And so that's something we got to be better with. That's something that we're really focusing on now, obviously, because UNC is the #1 offensive rebounding team in the country. So that's something that we're really focusing on. And, that's something we got to be able to be physical and be ready to go with. Making sure we're all on the same page, making sure we're doing our work early, and making sure we're attacking the ball when it comes off the rim. So all of the above, if that makes sense, or if that works as an answer. Sorry, there's lots of different things that go into rebounding and all that kind of stuff, but we got to do it all because they're the best. So when they're the best, you got to make sure you're at your best.
Kip Coons.
Yeah, Kip Coons with Pressbox View in Raleigh, North Carolina. Micah, I'm interested to know, you've talked about their bigs a lot. When did you first realize how many big bodies they had? And count is like about 5 guys around 7 feet, and they're not thin. What was your first realization of what you were getting into? And did you look down their roster numbers or see it on film? And I'm just wondering what that reaction was on your part.
Sure. Well, honestly, for me, the biggest thing is, so I went to Montverde Academy. That's where I graduated high school from. And I know Leaky Black and Dayron Sharp both went there. So just having that kind of connection, understanding who's there. But then watching them play Iowa earlier this year, you really got to see how big and how deep they were from a big perspective going up against Luka Garza. So that was really the biggest thing. Obviously, at that point, we didn't know we were going to play them. But that was the first instance of where I really saw, with my own eyes at least, the depth that they had and the size that they had up front. So, it's when we got the draw of playing them on Friday, it was something like, all right, that's something we're going to have to deal with. It's something we got to prepare for and something we got to really be able to attack and be able to defend against. So that was probably the biggest thing, was just that Iowa game, seeing them play earlier in the year. And then obviously when we got the draw on Sunday, when we found out we were going to play them, I was like, okay, it's go time. It's time to battle inside. So that was pretty much it.
Micah, thanks for your time. Go enjoy your St. Elmo's steak.
Looking forward to it, P. Herb. Appreciate you guys.
Get the shrimp at St. Elmo's, Micah.